recording.
All
This
right.
is a full-length bonus episode because I have a whole bunch of episodes already done. So if I was to wait to put this out, this would come out in like March, and that can't happen. So I'm just gonna throw it out there next week. Well, people are listening and watching, you're listening now, but I'm gonna call you my friend. This is fucking crazy, and I curse, so I don't give a shit. Everyone knows that who listens. Ladies and gentlemen, this is my former TI from basic training from Lackland Air Force Base, Texas. This is nuts because the last time I saw you was on or about May 10th, 1996.
Yeah, that probably sounds about right.
It's on or about, and I arrived at Lackland 25 years ago, this coming March 20th. Time warp.
Yeah, it's crazy. When we were talking earlier today, you said that, and then I started thinking in my head how long it's been for me. It's been 36 years for me. March, I came in early March of '85. So when you said March, I'm like, well, there's something,
yeah,
to that.
Yeah.
What'll really trip your head is when you say 25 years, but you say it's been a quarter of a century.
Oh yeah, it sounds even crazier.
Yeah.
Nuts, dude. All right, there's certain things I'm not even gonna try to go chronologically, because I'm gonna be all over the place. I know it, but there's certain things I want to know about you. There's certain things that I have to confess to, and this is why I was saying this is crazy for me. It's like, I'm friends with a bunch of guys that, I'm friends with somebody who was in the bunk next to me, in our flight, which was flight 224. Now, his name is David Byer. I told him I would give him a little shout out. And so he retired. Like, he was like, yeah, man, a couple of years ago, he's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like, holy shit. Like, it feels like 6 months ago we were bullshitting. You know what I mean? It's just how time goes. It's crazy. So I'm talking to all these guys, and I'm like, yo, man, I'm doing a podcast with my old TI. They're going crazy. And I'm like, who has the opportunity? Like this is something that I never, ever, ever thought I would have the opportunity to do, because I do a lot of bands and music and a lot of things like that, but I always go out of the box or whatever, and I do basically whatever I want to do. And I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of bands that I grew up listening to and members of bands, which is really cool because of this, this Zoom thing and just having a podcast. But somebody like you, I never thought that I would ever have, because it's on a personal level. It's not like you're in a band. You know what I mean? So it's something that other people might not necessarily get the way I do. And I don't care about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is cool for me too. So often after, and you have to excuse the expression, after kids leave basic, we have no idea what happens to them.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
No idea. Where they go from tech school into the operational Air Force and do with their careers and stuff like that.
Right.
So this is cool for me too.
All right. Well, I'll give you a brief history of, because when I got to Lackland, I originally was not in your flight. I came about a week in to your flight, and I remember it like it was fucking yesterday. I remember I was in Staff Sergeant Yakubik's flight.
Yep.
And he had a team member. Now, if anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, you have your team leader, which would be Mr. Raushenberger here, and then there would be two team members, which would basically they were like the help when you weren't there for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember who Yakubik's other team member was besides Staff Sergeant Scott. I don't remember. And the only reason why I remember Scott is because there was an incident. Okay. Now you have to understand, now if there's veterans that are listening to this, you know, I'm not gonna. I was a stupid, just turned 20-year-old knucklehead kid from Brooklyn, thinking my shit don't stink. I'm invincible. No one's gonna tell me nothing. Stupid knucklehead mentality. You know. Sometimes that's still the case, but I'm an adult now. I'll admit it. You know. So I get off the plane. And I remember like it was yesterday, man. And I don't know how I remember it so vividly, but we're underneath the overhang and civilian luggage. And I have my Yankee hat and I had long hair on the top and I had a goatee and Timberland boots and bag 90s shit. And I remember, oh man, it's like I'm standing there and I'm just like, whatever. And at first I'm thinking like, how the hell did I get here? Like 2 days ago, I was in some shitty bar in Brooklyn. And how the hell am I here right now? I'm looking back and I see the bus is still there from the airport. The doors are still open. I'm like, what would happen if I turned around and just went right back on the bus? You know what I mean? So all of a sudden you hear taps, but we don't see any of you guys. You might have been, I don't know, because it was such a blur when you all presented yourselves to us, you know, so you might have been within that whole initial welcoming party. But we now I didn't know at the time, but obviously now I know. But in front of us, there was the doors to the chow hall. So now all of a sudden we just hear taps, like kind of slightly, and then louder and louder, and then faster and faster, because you guys were running and you came from either side. It was like coordinated. You came from either side of the building and kicked open the lunchroom door, the chow hall door. So it was a bum rush of TIs, hats, and it was, no one yelled at me that day, but the guy right in front of me caught hell and broke down. And I'm staring at this guy, the back of this guy's head. And this one's talking about his mother, and he starts to cry. The kid started crying. And of course, you know, that's blood in the water for you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
You know? So I'm like, yo, man, how the hell did I get here? So I'm like, just don't start yelling at me and thinking in my head, don't start. But I caught a pass that day. So what had happened was a couple of days later, obviously you know this, because I never told this to anybody like you. So I'm talking to you as if like you're somebody who wasn't there, and it's, I don't know. So, you know, all right, but I also have to kind of explain it so that people who are listening can understand as well. There's something called a night display, right? So weird. And the night display, you had your own little area. You had your bed and your wall locker with your clothing drawer and your shoes and your sneakers. Well, because we didn't have what do you call, like, basically the dress shoes? We didn't have those yet. You know what I mean?
Low quarters.
Low quarters. There you go. I haven't said low quarters in 25 years, man. So they have to be a certain way. Your laces have to be untied a certain way. And there's a certain way to display your quote unquote night display. And one of the things is you have to have your canteen empty and upside down inside the sling, whatever you call it, right?
Yep.
Right. So there's me. I have a lot more tattoos now, but I had a few tattoos. And there's me. And of course, we back up 1 second. When we all rush into the bay the first night, you just grab your own bed. Whatever bed you grab, and that's it. And me, of course, I grabbed the bed directly in front of the TI's office. The worst place in the damn house.
Yeah.
Lights on all the time. Oh, forget it. So I'm there and everyone's showered. Now, I don't know how 52 guys can shower at the same time and not touch nobody in that thing. Fucking crazy. I don't know how it happened, but it happened constantly. So I'm standing there in government issued tighty-whitey underwear with what you call shower shoes, man. They're damn flip-flops on my feet. and that's it. And every other guy is around there, all dressed the same, all half naked. And it was time for, for my night display to be inspected. I'm so stupid. So I'm thinking I got my shits in order. So Airman Ferrari reports ordered, my area is prepared for inspection. And this is, you know who Yakabik is.
Yeah.
Little guy.
Yeah.
Real little guy.
Yeah.
Like a little
full of energy. 100 miles an hour all the time.
Like a chihuahua.
Yep.
Like little chihuahua, right? So I'm standing there all at attention, and god damn it, man. As soon as he saw it, I saw it. I didn't empty my damn canteen. He acted like I don't know, like I burned his house down or something. He went ape shit. threw my canteen across, took out my clothing drawer, flipped that shit. My bed was halfway off, the mattress was halfway off the bed, flipping out. Now I'm just standing there, and as you can tell, I can't hold a straight face to save my life. If me and you are in on a joke on somebody, I gotta leave the room. I'll give it up. I'm terrible like that. I'm terrible. So I can't hold a straight face. Now, I know that at that point in the Air Force, you can't hit us. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that, and I have that in my head, but I'm like, yo, this guy right now is unhinged, and I don't know what he's gonna do. So I'm biting. I'm a little nervous, but I almost want to laugh at this tantrum that he's throwing. Now you gotta mind you, I'm this knucklehead kid from the streets of Brooklyn, right? So I'm just biting the inside of my friggin' lip, man, hard. And he comes and he starts running up at me, and he said something. I don't remember exactly what he said, but I did the worst thing. I kind of just looked down at him a little bit because I was supposed to be looking straight at attention. So I broke like my military bearing, and I kind of looked down at him, and I rolled my eyes a little, and I sucked my teeth. I was like, come on. Oh my God. The tantrum that he flipped out after that twice as much. Running around, screaming, yelling at other people because of what I did in my canteen and this and that. And at the same time, here comes Staff Sergeant Scott. He's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
And I remember what he looks like. And he came over, and he was more intimidating because he wasn't bouncing off the walls screaming and yelling. He came over and he whispered like a little sweet nothing in my ear, He was just like something like, did you really fucking disrespect my, Sergeant Yakabik like that? Or said the way he said it, I'm like, oh man, like this guy sucks right now, So all that shit happens. And then right from there, I was like target for Yakabik, like target, right? There was nothing I was able to do. Like there was, everything. And I don't, if I remembered, I would say it, but I don't remember the exact thing, the catalyst that he made me, we had to go down to CQ to like, I don't know, first sergeant's office or something like that. And he said to him, and I was like, yo, like, this is crazy. And I was like, are you crazy? I even said that to him. He said something like, I was malingering or something.
Malingering, yeah.
I'm like malingering, like the last thing I want to do is spend more time with you. You know what I'm saying? It's the last thing I want to do. So one thing led to another, and I went to you. Now, I remember exactly how this all happened as well. Our dorm chief, I don't remember a lot of the guy's first names, but I obviously remember last names. His last name was Johnson. He was this big pasty white guy from like a farmer from Kentucky, right? So you guys happened to be in the chow hall. It was lunchtime. So I walk in there and there's the whole, other guys in the flight are all online. And so I walk over to him and I, report to him. And I'm basically like, I'm here to see Sergeant Raushenberger. And I think he was nervous. Obviously he was nervous. It's only like week 1 of training. So he doesn't know what the hell to do exactly without being nervous or trying not to mess up. So I think he just went, he's inside. I was like, he's in over there. I'm like, thank you. So now there's me sitting duck because I'm not with anybody. I don't have a tray. So I have to like walk solo like through the chow hall, which is, if anyone who's listening, it's the worst place to be because every TI is there and it's chaos. People are getting screamed at while you're chewing as you're getting up and all it's so crazy. It's just batshit craziness happening in this giant room. So I'm walking and I remembered what you looked like from doing drill and stuff. I remembered you just because, where are my surroundings and okay, I seen that TI before. So once I knew it was you, I was like, oh, that guy in my head. So now, but for some weird reason, this is gonna sound really stupid, but for some weird reason, I looked at like you and like your flight and all that. I was like, I bet he's cool. Like in my head, I was like, I bet he's cool. This guy over here, I don't like this little guy over here. But that guy, I think he's cool. So once it was you, I was like, all right. So I reported to you and I remember this, like this shit happened this morning, man. You looked at me and you looked at my name tag and you kind of smirked a little bit and you went, and you kind of like eyed me up and down and you like just like kind of wise ass sarcastic. You were just like, so you're Ferrari, huh? And I was, and right there, again, biting the inside of my lip, trying not to laugh and like be myself. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, yes, sir. And then I think you just told me like to go get something to eat or whatever. And then I was in your flight. So that was my introduction to you. Fucking crazy that I'm telling you this story. Like I said, never thought I'd ever have the opportunity to tell you this stuff.
So Yakubik eventually became an officer.
I see that happening. Absolutely.
Yeah, he was a security forces guy, and the last I knew, he was a captain. That was before I retired.
Okay.
So yeah, Scott was in my MTI class, so he was just as new as I was. So when you went through, I had been out of school about 8 months or so.
All right, so you had put in what, maybe how many flights at that point had you put into the air?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, maybe 224 would have been maybe my 4th or 5th. We averaged about 9 at that time, about 8 or 9 flights a year.
Right. And how many years were you at TI?
So I did 2 tours. My first, so 8 years total. I pushed flights for 4 of those 8 years. So my first tour, I did 2.5 years on the street there in the squadron pushing flights, and my second tour, I did about 1.5 years.
Okay. So now the flyer that I made of you, that was a picture where you had your blue ropes.
Right. That was my second. That picture's from my second tour.
Yeah, because you didn't have your blue ropes when I went through. Now,
right.
Now, for people that are listening, obviously, I know a little bit, but your blue, how do you get your blue rope?
So first off, the blue rope represents is the top 10% of the MTI Corps.
That's what I figured.
So it's changed. I don't know exactly how it is now. Back then, the way it was a competition. And you were really competing against yourself, or you were competing against the requirements. So you had to, the first thing you did is you took the PT test. You know, trainees had to get a 70%. We had to get an 85%. And you didn't go to the next round unless you passed each round.
Right.
So it was, every round was an elimination round.
Okay.
So after you pass the PT test, and then later on that morning, you take a written test. And same thing, everything is 85 or 90% versus the Air Force standard 70%, you know?
Yes.
So, and then it's a week-long competition. You don't find out how you did until the end of the day. So you don't even know if you go on to the next round. After the written test, everything is a secret.
Oh, shit.
You get a phone call saying, hey, okay, you're going to go to the next round. The next day was you teach a dormitory class. You didn't know what the class was until 30 minutes before you taught. That's all they allowed you to study.
Okay.
Then again, end of the day, you find out if you go on. The next day is a drill class. And then the final day is control, which is, you know, marching the flight around the drill pad.
Yes.
So it's extremely stressful. And well, the last thing is a board. Usually the board is just one of those, you know, if you make it to the board on the last day, it's just kind of a given. They just want to see you and talk to you a little bit, the board members who are the training superintendents.
Yes.
So yeah, but it's a huge, huge, huge honor. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there wasn't many of you guys with the blue ropes.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Each squadron may have had, if the squadron had 6 of them, that was a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So now you joined, let's go back into you, because then there's stuff that I want to get into with me and you and the hour flight and all that stuff.
Sure.
How, like, you grew up in where? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Iowa.
Okay.
Small town on the Mississippi River. I was a jock going through school and stuff, baseball, basketball, football kind of stuff, and could not wait to leave small town. In fact, I graduated early from high school just to join.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like right before we started recording, you had mentioned that to me, but for some reason I could have sworn that you had at one point, maybe I just took it wrong or whatever. You were talking to somebody, I think, and I could have sworn that you had said that you were from Miami. I have no idea where I got that from, but for 25 years, that's what I thought. I've been proven wrong. Awesome. So you graduated just to get the hell out of there, huh?
Yeah, I graduated December of '84, and all winter long, all I did was go. I was supposed to leave delayed enlistment in May of '85. So all I did after I graduated is I went hunting every day. That's all I did after I graduated. And in February of '85, my recruiter called me and said, hey, can you leave early? I said, how early? He said, March. I said, I'm good.
Awesome.
It's like that.
Wow.
Yep.
Crazy.
So March 4th, I went to MEPS. March 5th, I was right where you was at. One thing, the same thing. What the hell am I doing here?
Yeah. How the hell did this happen?
Yeah.
I planned the whole thing, obviously. I had to go to MEPS. I had to do everything, take the ASVAB. It was planned. But then once I got there, I'm like, how? Why am I here right now?
Yeah. So no kidding. So my first night, see, back in the way back in the day, when you got there, they used to feed you a meal. I mean, if it was, you know, not a whole lot has changed. You probably got in somewhere around midnight-ish or something like that would be my guess. And so I remember the same thing. And they had the chow hall open and you went and ate a meal before they even took you upstairs.
Oh, hell no.
Getting upstairs. And I mean, I remember being scared to death to get underneath the covers. Figured when I got up, I was going to have to make the bed that way. And I had no clue.
Yeah.
So I don't think I slept much, but the next thing I know, you know, the lights are on and the guy next to me is trying to shake me, waking me up because I had slept through the trash can.
Oh man, I didn't sleep through the damn trash can. I had Yankee big bang in the trash can, picked up the foot of my bed.
Dropped it, oh yeah.
Dropped it and it's chaos. I'm like, I must have got maybe, if I say an hour's sleep, it's a lot and it's not even real sleep. You know what I mean? It's like, I know where I'm at. I'm not falling into a deep, comfortable sleep. And I didn't for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true.
Settled in.
Yeah.
Great.
So another funny story about Yakubik, and whenever you say Yakubik in my head, I reverse it, because one of the funniest stories about him, he had he went up to his dorm, and I couldn't remember exactly when. I couldn't tell you when it was. He went up to his dorm, and dorm guard comes to the door. You remember having to go through the checks, pointing at his ID card, pointing at the wall and stuff.
I got a story later on all about that. Go ahead. Of course, I remember vividly.
So the kid says, Staff Sergeant Kibike, Staff Sergeant Kibike. Yakubik was like, what the hell? He goes in to rip the kid. Come to find out, the kid was so nervous he said his name backwards.
That is hilarious.
So from there on out, he was known as Kibike.
Ah, that's awesome. That's how scared he was. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. While we're on it, because do I remember? All right, so I was pulling. This was late. I'm going to say this was maybe 4th week, 4.5 weeks in, something like that. And I'm not sure where the flight went, but everyone was gone. And I had to just pull. I'm alone in the dorm. Like, all right, I don't know, however long it was, and time is going. I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is easy. No one's bothering me, blah, blah. Oh, my God, man. So, knock at the door. So I remember all my stuff. Opens it. Who is it? It's one of our team members, Senior Airman Messing, who is a female. Okay? Knocking on the door, blah, blah, blah. And she asks me all these questions, and I see her ID, and I'm reading the name, and blah, 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 blah. All that. Passed with flying colors, Dave. Right?
I already know what you forgot, man.
No, you already know what I forgot. You're about to know. These kids, the people listening, don't know yet. What does my dumb ass do? I open the door, and she looks up at me, and she's like, well? And I'm like, well, what? She's like, what are you, stupid? And I'm like, and then I realized, I'm like, oh, female entering the dorm. It was way too late, man. And what did she do? Give me 341. I'm like, oh, man. Fucked up. And that cost me something. What was that? Because
grad, maybe.
It was what?
If you had been recycled, it wouldn't have been honor grad.
No. It cost me something. I'm not sure exactly what it was, though. But there's something else that cost me my whole town pass.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I was dumb, man. I was stupid sometimes, man. Walking around my head up my ass thinking I'm this and that. Yeah, so so if anyone doesn't know, a 341 is a discrepancy form, and you always have to have 3 of them in your pocket at all times. So if you got 3 of them pulled, you went back a week in training, recycled into another flight, and you didn't want to do that. There was one time, I have confessions to make, man. There was one time we're doing PT and we're running. That was one thing that I wound up really getting into. And I really wound up getting into running. I never ran before in my life. And then we had to qualify, whatever it was, the mile, 16 minutes, whatever that was. But then a couple of weeks into training, there was like a few of us who would just run, and we'd be in step, and we were all about breathing. Like, we would just run it, and you'd get that runner's high. I actually really got into it at the time. But there was something that happened. I don't know exactly what it was, but there was a TI running along with the whole group of a whole bunch of people down that road. And I don't know if it was from our squadron, didn't look familiar, but it was definitely a TI. And we all look identical because we all have shaved heads and we're all wearing the same shit. So he asked me for a 341. I ran my ass off and got lost in the crowd. I wasn't about to give up my 341 over some dumb shit and risk going back a week in training. I ran and got lost in the crowd, man. I was nervous as fuck, like he was gonna find me one day. Yeah, man. I was like, nah, that's not happening. I turned that shit on. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. So yeah, that cost me something. I don't remember what it was when Erin Messing pulled that, because like a dumbass, she's just standing at me. She's staring at me. She's like, "What are you, stupid?" And that's when it hit me. Like, all right, stupid. God. But what happened was my mother, rest in peace, and my sister and my girlfriend at the time all flew from New York down to Texas for my graduation. And I guess it was probably because I was excited about that, and I figure I'm right at the finish line. So I'm kind of lackadaisical, and it bit me in the ass, because people don't know that's listening. You get, what would it, it's called a town pass, right? And you were able to go downtown San Antonio for like how many hours?
Pretty much almost all day.
Right. And you had freedom, and you were off base finally. But I wound up getting only 4 hours of base liberty.
Wow.
That was it.
Really screwed up.
Man, that was your fucking call, man.
Well, shit, it could
actually
maybe base lib. There's times when I had somebody sitting in the damn dorm all day. So
well, actually, it wasn't you that caught me how I fucked up. It was someone much worse. Master Sergeant Kodra.
oh God. You know, I forgot that name until you just said that.
Yeah.
He was a pain in my ass.
That dude, yeah. Well, he was like basically like your boss, right?
Yeah, he was what they called a section supervisor.
Oh yeah. Well, it was another thing. It was right before, maybe, I don't know. It was right before something was about to happen. Maybe we were about to form up about something. I don't know. But him and someone else that I don't remember, because I only remember Koja because of what happened, started looking through lockers and shit. Mm-hmm. Now, it wasn't like I had any contraband or anything like that. What it was, he opened up my wall locker, and like an idiot, I left a can of shaving cream and a pair of blousing straps on that bottom shelf in there. That right there cost me my whole town pass.
Yeah. That didn't change. Stuff like that, you know, the repercussions of that stuff didn't change.
Well, it shouldn't, because I understand why. Because it's all paying attention to detail, and I understand that. Like, I'm very meticulous in real life anyway, and like when I have a note here because I didn't want to pass this up. All right, I have a couple little notes right here, right? All right, because I am a very meticulous person, right? When it comes to a lot of things, very anal with stuff. Now, we were doing red lines. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, explain to people listening, because I feel like I'm explaining, and you should be explaining a little bit what red lines actually is and how you need to have your shit.
Yeah. So red lines are done 2 different times during training. There's an initial red line, which used to be in the 2nd week of training. And that's when you got inspected in all 4 of your areas. So your 4 areas were what they called your PLA, your personal living area.
I forgot about your PLA.
Yeah.
Oh,
your bed, your shoes, your towel, your laundry bag, your chair. That was
laundry bag.
Fuck. Yeah. Your wall locker, your clothing drawer, and then your security drawer. And for folks that don't know what a security drawer is, your security drawer was maybe I don't know, what do you think? 12 by 12, maybe?
Maybe.
Something like that. And you split it into 2 halves.
Yes.
So the front half of this little drawer was for your hygiene items.
Yes.
Shaving cream, toothpaste, toothbrush, soap, that kind of stuff.
Razor blade, yeah.
Were your personal items that you were allowed to have, which was like, a Bible and maybe some writing stuff.
That's it.
Whatever. There was not a whole lot that went back there.
No.
So those 4 areas, and
that was locked. That was locked. That had a padlock. Now the first day of training, when people are scared shitless, and you tell them you have a chain around your neck with the key, you need to open up that lock without taking it off your neck, and there's a certain way you gotta turn it. People are stuck down there. Oh my God, dude.
Oh yeah, fun times. But back to the red line. So you were allowed a certain amount of demerits in each of those areas. If you were allowed, for example, 3 demerits, and if you got more than 3, if you got 4 or more, whatever, then you'd get a reevaluation on that area. And if you failed a reevaluation, obviously you need more time to figure this stuff out. So we'd recycle you.
You go back a week in training.
Yeah. In the 5th week of training, that was the second red line. And that was because that's when you got your blues and everything. So it was a completely different inspection.
Which was the worst.
Truth be told, I hated inspections because they were so time consuming, so tedious.
Yeah.
I hated them.
The worst was when you got your blues issued, because just like we all do, all the little threads in the blue shirts, you would give us all time, hours and hours to get your stuff prepared. We'd have nail clippers taking little time. I mean, everything. Your brown t-shirts, which folded terribly, but because it was so thin and weird, but they were like 6-inch squares, and it was a certain thing. Like if you pulled, like, what was it, like the left or the top right corner, you would see the sleeve.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. You don't even remember?
It's been a while. I'm sure I could get in my drawer and look at it though. My wife gives me a hard time all the time because I still fold stuff that way.
You probably do. I don't. Yeah, doesn't surprise me. Yeah, there was a certain way. If you pulled, it was like the top left or the top right corner of your folded shirt. You pulled it, you would have to see like one of the sleeves. And
yeah,
if
I think
that wasn't right, then you folded it incorrect.
Yeah.
Your socks, one sock folded on top of each sock. Please don't tell me that you have your socks that way.
No, I don't.
Thank you.
No.
Yeah.
But
red lines. All right.
Yeah, red lines got a lot of what red lines did more than anything else is it eliminated honor graduates. Because an honor grad, you couldn't fail any area at all.
Right.
So if there was an eval that had to be done on you, you for sure weren't going to be an honor grad.
Damn.
But Tommy Gall, my senior airman Gall.
Yes.
He's actually a Delaware State Trooper now.
Really? I'm friends with him on Facebook now, by the way.
Are you? Tommy's awesome. I love Tommy to death. What he used to do is he would sit in his office chair at the door, and he would have you walk by with your clothing drawer and with your security drawer. Walk up and down the damn aisles. Or even better, especially with the security drawers, even better, because he'd have your security drawer at the center aisle end of the bed.
Oh my God.
He would have the dorm guard push him in his chair up and down the damn aisle.
Get the hell out of here. That's hilarious.
He was a character, man.
Yeah, that's funny, man. He actually told me, because I messaged him saying that I was going to do an episode of podcast with you, and he doesn't remember me, guaranteed. But he was the one that told me. I've told this story a million times in like real life whenever I bring up the Air Force, because I'm from Brooklyn and my last name is Ferrari. So it's kind of like it's ammo for you guys, you know what I mean? All I gotta do is open my mouth or whatever. So there was one day we were outside underneath the hangar in formation doing something, and you had told Gold something, and then Gold sent it to me and he sent me upstairs to the dorm for something. I don't remember what it was. So there I am. I'm running, and you're supposed, we're taught to always keep your hand on the banister, on the handrail and shit. Man, that wasn't happening because there was nobody around me. So I'm flying three steps at a time up to the dorms. I come back, I'm like out of breath. It was like less than a minute I was back. And he looks at me and he goes, with a name like Ferrari, you sure do move pretty damn slow. I'm like, how do I not laugh at that? You know what I mean?
Well, that was the secret to, so a couple things about telling the truth, I guess, on ourselves, with the MMTI. First off, nobody can be that pissed off all the time. You'd have a heart attack.
Of course.
90+% of what we did was acting. It really was.
Yeah.
I think we needed to release just like y'all did, so our big thing was we're never going to let anybody see us smile. We don't have emotion. We're not human kind of thing.
Right.
But we would love to crack y'all up. So sarcasm was critical to what we did.
I know.
Mail call. Did I assign nicknames to everybody?
Oh God, yeah. It was insane. It was insane. There was so many times where it took everything I had not to laugh at one of you guys messing with me. Bad.
Yeah. Tommy's good people. He's my youngest son's godfather, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome. Yeah. I shushed him one night. I shushed him because I was on a top bunk. I was in B bay towards the back, right. If you're walking down the center aisle, I was on not the first bunk, the second bunk top, right-hand side.
Okay.
So I'm up there and Gall came in to talk with the fire guard or something. It was like the middle of the night. And I'm like half asleep. And he's like I'm like almost eye level with him because I'm on the top bunk. And he's talking like right there. And I kind of woke up and I didn't know exactly what. So I was like, I thought maybe it was just another airman, another trainee. So I'm just like, yo, shh. Like shut up, man. Like you're waking me up when you're talking next to me. And he just looked at me. He was like, you better get back down to sleep, boy. Some shit like that. I was like, and I put my head down. I was wide awake. I was like, God damn it. Don't talk to me now. Don't talk to me now. I'm sleeping. Yeah, man. Hilarious. Well, real quick, back to red lines, though, because I was so meticulous and I wanted to kill it. Like I wanted to get no demerits, right? I was like, it was my personal goal. So this is week 5. Oh, it was week 5, right?
Yeah.
I'm going over, making sure my buttons are good on my BDUs. Everything is good. The hangers are perfectly spit. Everything. My damn iron is in the right spot. My gloves, all that shit. Everything is perfect. I starched and ironed the towel that goes in the bottom of your friggin' security drawer. It's perfect. It looks like it's part of the drawer. I'm proud of myself, man. At this point, I'm proud of myself, right? So you come along and you're like, man, you're like failing people. Like, nothing's buttoned over here. Come over to me. And I'm like, that's going to stop right now because I'm good. I'm fucking good right now. And I think, this is something that I think that you did because I think that I was perfect. But I think you did something to give me one demerit on purpose. You want to know what that was?
What?
All right. I'm watching you go through everything. I'm like, no, you can't find shit. He ain't finding shit. Nah. Clothing drawer, ain't finding shit. Towels, good. You took my damn stand-up container of toothpaste. Right? And I know for a fact that I took that little cap off and took a damn Q-tip and cleaned the inside of that cap because that's not good. That's not tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're looking, and I think that you gave it a little fucking squeeze because you took that cap off and you showed me the little toothpaste on the inside of the cap. And you were like, One demerit. I'm like, God damn it, man. You gotta be that really? That's what you found? Yeah, one demerit. 5th week red lines. Toothpaste inside a cap. Thanks, man.
That's amazing that you remember that.
I remember, I'm telling you, I don't know why. Listen, I've had a history. I drank a lot. I've done a lot of stupid stuff since the Air Force, whatever. I'm completely sober now. But for some reason, man, even like my friends that I used to party with and do stupid shit with, they're like, how do you remember certain things? I'm like, I remember who we were with, where we went, what we did after that, what song was playing. Like, I remember everything. I don't know how, but I remember almost photographic memory, especially, I'm not going to say every single day at Lackland, but a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a lot.
You know, it's interesting. The more that you talk about your flight, the more I kind of remember.
Well, I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say when we first started talking, and you said your name and everything, what clicked for me was the time frame. When you mentioned the TI committing suicide, I knew exactly when it was.
Right. Well, I didn't know. That's what I was just about to bring up, because I did friend request you a while back, and I did not expect you to remember me. I didn't. I had no thoughts that, like, how are you? Like, of course I remember you, obviously, and everyone would remember you if you were their TI. But how many, like you said, how many flights, and there's, you know, an average of like 40 to 50 people that you put in every flight, and it's, you know, so obviously you don't remember everybody. So that's why I was like, yeah, at the time, I didn't know what happened because it was kind of like a secret. Obviously, the trainees wouldn't know. But I remember we were in the day room, and there was, I want to say she was a tech sergeant. And for some, I don't remember exactly what she looks like, but if I think in my head, she kind of resembles that wrestler, the female wrestler, China. Dark hair. Black hair. I think she was a tech sergeant. Big woman. TI.
I think I know who you're talking about. I think at that time her name was Cozart.
That could very well be her.
Been over on Yakubik's and Scott's side.
Very possible, yeah. Because she came in, and we're all taught about this military bearing stuff. And she came in, and she was hysterical crying.
Yeah.
So right there, everybody, myself included, knew that something pretty heavy happened.
Yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know until I brought that up to you, because I figured that that's something that didn't happen very often there.
Right.
So that would be like a standout moment for you to get a time frame to possibly remember.
Yeah, and it did. So what happened was his name was Tim Turner, and he was a Master Sergeant Select, and he was a rookie TI as well. In fact, I trained. He had just gotten certified, because to be a TI, there's a certification process.
Okay.
He had just gotten certified when I was just out of school. So I worked with him a little bit in the same dorms, B9 and B10 up there. And then he went under investigation, and I won't talk about all that, but he went under investigation, and that's when I took over that dorm.
Okay.
And so Tommy and I, and it was probably that flight, probably your flight. Tommy and I went down to a supply warehouse to pick up our stuff for the flight, to get ready to set the dorms up. And we talked to him because that's where he was at.
Okay.
And he had told us that afternoon, he says, you know what, regardless of how the investigation turns out, he goes, good, bad, or indifferent, he goes, it'll all be over by the 1st. And so, you know, if we had ever put things together, we would have understood what he was saying.
Right.
But yeah, we got called in, all the TIs got called into the MTI day room, which is just a glorified classroom, you know, in the squadron area.
Sure.
You know, it's never a good thing when the commander's there and the chaplain's there.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So that's when he said that the commander had said that the night previous, well, the cops had found him that morning in his apartment. He had eaten a shotgun.
Jesus Christ.
So that was a hard hit. because Tim and I were I wouldn't say we weren't best friends or anything like that, but we spent, obviously as TIs, you spend a lot of time together.
Of course.
So that's what that was all about. And again, that's how he went on investigation and I took that dorm. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I knew something was crazy. Something bad had happened. Yeah. I think senior year messing. I think she was a mess too. Like she was like, it was weird because all you guys and girls would just like, something was very wrong. So,
yeah.
And like I said, I didn't know that until I started messaging you like a while back when I first sent you a request.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you was in Yakubik's flight,
yeah.
did you have was there a Russian kid in your flight? Do you remember?
A Russian kid?
Yeah. Trainee.
Maybe a name would remember.
I wouldn't remember a name. I just remember I went with one night when we were teaching night displays.
Yeah.
It was early on for him, and I must have had CQ or something. And I went up to his dorm to help out. And there was a kid who was Russian. And so we, at lights out, we made him sing the Russian national anthem.
Why does that, you know what's crazy is that why does that sound vaguely familiar now that you brought that up?
It would have been around that same couple month time frame, I'm thinking. So that's why I asked.
You guys were bored, just different ways to mess with people.
That's what you do.
Yeah. And you know what was great? I found myself to be fortunate in one area is that, let's go back to the chow hall for a minute. Where there's chaos always, there's always a younger flight that's going crazy over there. There's the real newbies who still got their civvies on.
Rainbows.
Yeah, crazy, right? So, but now, for the people who were listening, there is something that was called the snake pit. And it was the dreaded, it was the worst place on base probably to be, right? Now, the snake pit was just a row of tables with the TIs of the flights that were eating, basically. So how many on average TIs would be lined up sitting next to each other at one long table? 6?
I mean, it kind of depended on what meal it was, if there was a changeover taking place between one TI and another. I think we used to have on average maybe 4 to 6 flights in and out at a time.
Yeah.
So it kind of depended. Usually you'd have at least 10 TIs in the chow hall at any given time.
Oh God, yeah, that's bad. That's like it's not a comfortable place, and it's not supposed to be comfortable. But there was that one time. I never ever once got called over to the snake pit. I don't know how. I figured I'd get called over every other friggin' meal, but I didn't. My dumb ass sticking out like a sore thumb. But like, I wanted to know, like, let's just say there's you and 4 other TIs sitting next to each other. Would you like target certain airmen that I think we need to mess with this guy and call him over here?
So we had, I don't know about targeting, if that's the right word or not, but we had, usually what we tried to do was if we had attitude problems. If we had somebody in the flight that was an attitude problem, that's who we target. To go along with that, when we would pick chow runners, we always picked 2. We picked one who was an attitude problem, so they'd have to go in and get ate up every day, every meal. And we also picked one who was the most squared away if we needed to eat.
Good call.
Honestly. But yeah, I mean, you didn't really have to pick anybody out. Things were so blatant and obvious in there.
Oh yeah. You know what? That's crazy because you just said chow runner, and I haven't heard that term in a long time. And it just came right back to me. Chow runner, go! And oh my God, dude. So funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. We used to do what we used to call significant emotional events. That's what we used to perform.
Okay.
You talked about, the kids, the other trainees crying and stuff like that. That's how, as a TI, you earned your reputation.
Of course. Yeah.
There's other methods. You gave two examples. There was Yakubik and Scott, and they were complete opposite ends.
Complete opposite. And the calm guy was the one that was more intimidating.
Oh yeah, because if especially at the snake pit, my first tour as a TI, I was one of those ones. I was 100 miles an hour. Right. I was loud and angry and pissed off all the time. Just the way I was. My second tour, I was a little bit older and a little bit more mellow, but I still got the same points across. I was still effective because I just changed tactics.
Yeah.
I don't have to scream at you all day long. I can just get in your ear and tell you that I'm going to rip your arm off, and it's the same effect.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Why get yourself all crazy when you could just calm and collectively do it and have the same exact outcome? You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
My second flight, I remember, I'll never forget this, because you remember how thin I was.
Yeah.
I wasn't probably $150 soaking wet.
I know.
Yeah. And
you were skinnier than I was, and I'm 6 feet even, and I was like $165.
Yeah, and see, I'm 6 foot even, and I was $150 maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
So I remember my second flight. The one of the airmen had wrestled for University of Iowa.
Okay.
And so this is a little unknown thing that we used to do to make these significant events for
everyone. I love it.
We would go to set our dorm up. We would go down, because right outside the Valley High Gate was a dollar store.
Okay.
So we go down to the dollar store, throw $10 down, and we get picture frames, and we'd get glasses and stuff like that would break, and we decorate our offices and stuff. And then that first weekend, we call the first trainee we call into council, we just start throwing stuff.
Yo, all right, go on, because now things are clear for me now with certain things.
Just plain nuts.
Yeah.
So this kid, the day before they shipped out, so that Sunday we went in, and we used to do a kind of like an amnesty call kind of thing, where actually we would sit there somewhat civilized, before y'all shipped out, and just kind of talk.
Yeah.
So my second flight, I hadn't been out of school 3-4 months yet.
Right.
And I'm talking to this flight, and this kid stands up and he says, "Sir," he goes, "we were scared to death of you." And he was a lot bigger than I was.
Yeah.
I said, "You're twice my size." I said, "How were you ever scared of me?" He goes, "Honestly, we thought that you were just flat out crazy. If we did something wrong, like you were going to pull a knife out somewhere and just stab us or something." Which meant that's the impression that I wanted to give.
Yeah, you did your job well, man.
Yeah.
Of course. That's awesome. That's hilarious that you said that about the breaking the cheap shit that you buy, because it all makes sense now, man. When I was still in Yakubik's flight, we're lined up and we're doing face and movements into his office, and he's teaching us to properly salute.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The whole angle, the thumb in, the whole thing. Now, I'm like taller, so there's a whole bunch of people in front of me. Yo, man, this guy, like somebody would like do a wrong, wrong right face or just salute, half-ass or whatever. And he was trashing his office. I'm like thinking in my head, why is this dude breaking shit all over his office? And now I know why. They're like props.
Yep.
God damn it.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Holy
absolutely.
shit.
Yeah, there's from I did 26 years, and the stories that I enjoyed telling the most to anybody who asks, it's usually stories of when I was a TI, because to me, they're the funniest.
Oh, of course.
So I had a kid, he, day one, came up to me and, "Sir, I made a mistake." And I looked, I said, "Yeah, you're probably right.
Right.
I shouldn't be here, but you are." So that's like on Thursday. On Friday, he comes back and he's a little more animated about it. He's like, sir, I can't do this. I made a mistake. This was, I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, shut up and color.
Right.
Saturday rolls around and same thing again. I said, you know what? Maybe you're right. I said, tell you what, I said, get in your security drawer and bring me your contract. Yes, sir. So now he's excited because he thinks there might be a way out. So he brings me his contract and I'm looking at it like I really am interested in his contract.
Right.
And so I find some place that he has signed, a page that he signed, and I show it to him. I said, is that your signature? Well, yes, sir. I said, well, guess what there, Junior? I said, your ass asked for this. I said, your ass went to a recruiter, said, please, please, pretty please, send me to see Sergeant Raushenberger for 7 weeks so he can beat my ass the entire time. You asked for this shit. So he stalks away, comes back that night just in tears and bawling. I say, you know what, Junior? I said, I'm done. I said, I ain't taking no more of your shit. I said, tomorrow, Sunday, you're going to go to chapel. I said, talk to a chaplain. Maybe they'll take your side. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that we had really good relationships with the chaplains. Okay. We had to because we had so much crazy stuff go on.
I'm sure.
So he comes back after church, and this was the first Sunday. Comes back, and he's doing whatever they were supposed to be doing. And I walk around, and I said, hey, did you talk to a chaplain? Yes, sir. I said, what'd he say? He said you were right. I said, imagine that shit.
Yeah, imagine
like that. So it gets better. It gets better. We're getting ready to fall out for chow that night, for Sunday chow, for Sunday dinner. And of course, we're B dorm, and which means, so for folks don't understand, the dormitories were set up. You had a ground level, which were classrooms and offices were at, and then you had an A level, which is really like the first floor. And then you had a B level, which was like the second floor. So we were in the B level dorms.
Right.
So you had to go down about, I don't know how many sets of stairs to get down.
Like 6 probably, like 2 per floor, probably about
something
6.
Like that.
Because I ran up them when Gall said I was slow.
So on each landing, though, we used to post someone, a stairwell monitor.
That's right.
These words: walk, don't run, use the handrail.
That's right.
In life.
Shit.
So he's on the very first landing of the very first set of stairs from the ground. So we fall out for chow and we're racing down the stairs, of course, and I go past him. I get to the bottom. He's like, sir. I turn around. I said, look, I said, what? He goes, sir, I'm going to jump. Then freaking jump already. Quit wasting my damn time. And I'll be danged if he didn't jump.
No shit.
He hits about halfway down the stairs and rolls all the way to the bottom. And then I had one of those oh shit moments.
Yeah.
I tell a kid to jump, and he's laying down there at the bottom, all contorted and everything, looking up at me. And I looked down and I said, are you all right? He goes, yes, sir. I said, then get your ass in formation so we can go to chow.
Yeah, God damn it. Holding us up. Get your crooked ass up off the floor. That's hilarious, man. Oh God. There was another time, since it's all fresh in my head, I gotta get these, because I don't want to shut this off when we're done and be like, God damn it, I wanted to bring that up, We were at chow, and for some reason, I don't know why, it was the first and only time it ever happened. Every time I was done eating, I would go outside, and if people don't know, you go out and you have to start forming up columns, right? So whenever I was done, they would either be like a full column, start another one, or whatever. I go out, and nobody from 224 is there yet. Nobody. And there's like basically pretty much nobody outside yet. It's like me. I'm like, man, I don't like this already. So I go out and I form up and I start the column, and I don't know who he is. I don't remember his name. Obviously, he wasn't you or any of our team members or anyone that really looked familiar. I remember he was a tech sergeant. That's what I remember. And he was walking, and I don't look at him, but my eyes, I look at him, and he calls me over to him. And I start proceeding, sir. And I run over to him. I report. And he asked me, if people don't know, obviously, there's this thing that we had. It's called a portfolio, and it was this basically this pleather black zip, basically a glorified large purse, right? where you would put your paperwork, and you had books with all kinds of what they call memory work. Isn't that what it is? Memory questions.
Yep.
Right. Where it would be like all the ranks of everything of the whole chain of command and this, that, and the other thing. That's really the only thing I remember. I remember there was a couple of books and whatever. Anyway, wasn't there a flashlight in there too?
Yep. Lackland laser.
The Lackland laser, right? So calls me over, and I run over with my portfolio in my hand. Oh my God. And he asked me a memory question. Basically, I almost positive he asked me if a major walked past you, how would you identify that as being a major? Right? I was like, oh, gold oak leaf, blah, blah, blah. And I said it correctly. And maybe he was bored or something, or he saw that he was going to mess with me because he looked at my last name and he saw it was Ferrari. So obviously, once again, it's ammunition. So I'm standing there and I see him look, and now I'm thinking in my head, here we go. I'm going to be here for a while, you know? So he's like, Ferrari. I'm like, sir, yes, sir. He's like, where are you from, Ferrari? And me being a wise ass, I can't just say New York. I can't just keep it vague. I can't, because I'm an idiot sometimes. So I had to say, Brooklyn, New York, sir. Brooklyn. Goes, yes, sir. And now here I go, I'm biting the inside of my lip, trying not to laugh because I'm waiting for however this guy is going to do, whatever direction this guy is going to take me. So I guess because the stereotypical thing, if you just watch TV or you've never been here, you just think Brooklyn, you just think shit show, bad neighborhood, gangs, terrible, which it's just not, right? So he asked me if I ever what did he ask me? Is my car safe in this parking lot with you in my Air Force? Okay. So now I'm like, yo, man. I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, sir, yes, sir. Dude, I'm telling you, it took everything I had, man, not to laugh. So I'm sure he saw me really trying my best to hold my military bearing. He guaranteed he saw me biting my lip. He knew I was about to crack, but I didn't. So I was like, no, yes, sir, your car is safe here in this parking lot with me and your Air Force. And then he's like, how about my car radio? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, don't bullshit me. Don't make me come out here one day and my car is gone and you're nowhere to be found and you're AWOL. I'm like, no, sir, that's not going to happen, sir. And then what was the kicker is he came out of left field, and I know it was a bullshit story just to get me going and see if I could break. But he tells me this. I've told this story a million times, especially like in bars and shit when I used to drink and shit. It was always like a crowd pleaser, this story. So he's like, you know what, now I don't even know how to answer this in a normal setting. Forget about in that situation. He's like, do you know that my wife just recently left me? And I'm like, how, first of all, guy, I'm thinking in my head, how would I know? Why would I know? And I never seen him before in my life, right? So there's no way for me to go, you know what I mean? So I'm like, no, sir, I didn't know that. Well, I hear that she went to Brooklyn. I think that I didn't even answer that because no matter what I said, it would have been wrong and it would have just been more ammo. And he asked me the next thing. He's like, I want to know, did you ever sleep with my ex-wife? Sir, no, sir. get out of my face. And I ran back into the fucking column. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. That's something that I know that I would tell my grandkids.
Oh my God.
We went back up to those dorms after chow. And there was a crowd of guys around me, and I told them that story, and I laughed for 15 minutes straight up there in those dorms from that guy. I wish that I would have remembered that guy's name.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a short guy, tech sergeant. Don't remember his name.
Yeah.
Makes me his car radio, and if I ever slept with his ex-wife because she moved to Brooklyn and left him.
That's crazy.
Dude.
That's crazy.
Insane. Yeah, fun times. I remember everything, dude. I don't know. How can you forget that? That's something you just don't forget because that never happens to anybody unless you're in that situation. So
Yeah. So what made you decide to join the Air Force? So back on you.
Yeah. Well, I was a knucklehead, man. I came from a really good family, but I always had this. Well, my parents were divorced when I was younger, and when I was like 10, and my mother got remarried to a guy who had a lot of money, and everything was good. I kind of literally went from like rags to like riches, like nothing in the refrigerator, living with an abusive biological father, to living with my mother, him legally adopting me, and then me, and we had a couple of houses, a beautiful house, a summer house upstate. I had my own boat when I was 12. You know, like he had money. So it was cool, but it never it was nice to not ever be hungry, and I was able to get like the new nice sneakers and stuff like that. That was cool, but it was never anything impressive to me. Like even like now to this day, I'm not impressed by somebody's cars or money, or it just never did anything for me. It was nice, I appreciated it, but it really wasn't whatever. So I have an older sister and 6 years older than me. And when she turned 21, I turned 15, and she used to go out and party and stuff and drink and stuff like that. So she always said that when she turned 21, that she's going to bring her little brother out. So I was like, all right, cool. So I started hanging out with her and all of the older people, all the, people like her age. So I was always the younger ones with all the older people. And, just like, it's also the people that you hang out with, the neighborhood I grew up in. We're going out, we're doing a lot of drinking and bar hopping and, some drugs and nothing too crazy, but, just doing knucklehead teenage nonsense, When I did go to school, I was very good in school. But I was like, whatever. And I would just go out and do stupid shit. So it came to a point where it's like, even though like I say, yeah, I'm a knucklehead. Yeah, back then I was much more of a knucklehead, but I'm a father now, and I've grown up. This is just bringing me back to knucklehead days because I was such a young kid and all these stories, But so it was a choice for me. Like I came to a realization. It's like, I don't like school. I never liked school. I have kind of an issue with authority figures. Go figure, sucking my teeth at Yankovic, like whatever guy, And then, so it was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Eventually just be like some drunken idiot in the street, some loser in the street? Or what am I going to do? Like, I have no college under my belt. So I was like, you know what? My biological father, he was in the Marine Corps for 2 years, Paris Island, Vietnam, but he didn't go to Vietnam. But I was like, you know what, man, I'll just join the service. And I'm like, you know what, though? I lived in a really nice house at the time and stuff like that. I'm like, I could join the Marines, like my dad, but I ain't trying to fucking sleep out in the rain for weeks in a goddamn tent and all that shit. I want 3 hots in a cot, man. I want to go to the Air Force, and they're like more like respectable guys, right? So I went to Staff Sergeant Sidbury on Jamaica Avenue in Queens, and I signed up, and I took the ASVAB, Armed Service Vocational Aptitude Battery, and I did really well. I aced mechanics, and that was that. And then after I left, I took that 7-hour bus ride up to Shepherd, Wichita Falls, and I was a jet engine mechanic, aerospace propulsion technician, my AFSC. It's crazy. It's coming back to me, man. And then yeah, and then I did that, and then I went home on leave, and then I went to Cannon Air Force Base, Clovis, New Mexico.
Armpit of the world.
What happened?
Armpit of the world.
There was, oh God. When it was hot, it just smelled like straight up cow shit because there was cattle yards all over the place. And that was that. But I got lucky because there's a lot of guys. He was like my, basically not my crew chief, but he was, I guess he was, I don't know, he was high up in the back shop, whatever, but he was a master sergeant. He's retired now, retired as senior master sergeant, Sergeant Gibbs, who I still to this day am in touch with. He was a great guy. And a lot of guys were there, and it seemed like you would get stuck there. There were a lot of guys that were there for like 9 years, could never get out of there. And I was still like my knucklehead self, and I'd go to the base bar and blah, blah, blah. So there was one day I thought I was in trouble because I had bounced a check, because you know how we're all broke and shit. I have like, I maybe I have one stripe at the time because I came in Airman Basic. I might have one stripe, maybe. So at that time in 1996, what are you making every 2 weeks? $180 or some shit?
Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. And everyone's drinking and partying and everyone's broke. So, all right, well, I have these little checks. I'll float a check to the commissary and then it'll get direct deposited. And I can go get a couple of cases of beer and a pack of cigarettes. Well, it bounced. And then I got a letter of counseling. And then another one bounced. And Sergeant Gibbs calls me into his office. And he's like, Ferrari, he's like, I like you, but you're fucking up. That's exactly what he said to me. And he kind of whipped me into shape because I had a lot of respect for him. And I thought that I might have bounced another check or something had happened, but then I got called in to the squadron commander's office. And at the time it was a female, Major Fry. And I walked in there and well, first I got a haircut. I put on my blues, making sure everything is tight, no shadow, no nothing. So I go in there, I'm thinking I was in trouble. And she was like, Aaron, you have orders. And I was like, okay. And she's like, you have a choice. Like you have a choice. You can either take these orders or you could reject them, no problem. But chances are you're not going to leave Cannon until your enlistment is up. I was like, where do I sign? So where do I sign? I got to get out of here. So I went up to Elmendorf.
Okay.
Which was awesome. It was awesome. Like that was like, at first I'm like, everyone was like making fun. You're going to Elmendorf. Like, listen, man, I don't care. All I knew about Alaska at the time was like igloos, Eskimos, and fucking penguins, dude. I like whatever. As long as I get out of here, I'll go anywhere, So I went up there, and then like an idiot, I got in trouble up there. Like an idiot, because there I am. I'm 23, whatever. I'm drinking like a maniac. I'm doing stupid shit. I'm 6,000 miles from home. I wound up having my own dorm room because I was always clean, and I would always get everyone that came in, I would kick them out. I would kick them all out. Man, I don't want to be going into my room and seeing your shitty drawers on the floor. Like, I have to live here and I ain't having none of that, right? So, but I was always super clean. So I wound up being like dorm chief or something like that. I had the keys to everyone's, in case someone was drunk or like, got locked out, I would let them in. But that means that I was able to have my own dorm room. And it was perfect. But then again, it was not good because I got in trouble. Now, I did get discharged, but it wasn't a dishonorable discharge. It was a general discharge. but I did stupid shit. You want me to get into that real quick?
Well, that's up to you, man.
All right. Well, I've told this story on episode 49 of this podcast. I did like a 2.5 hour whole life story. And then people told me that they wanted to hear. I touched on the Air Force a little bit, but I was like, I even said it at that time, like that could be a whole other episode. And here we are, which is, I didn't think this would happen, but this is cool. And then episode 51, I did like a part 2 where I filled in some gaps about certain things that people were asking me to fill in. But so I might have told this story, but I don't care. You never heard it, so whatever. There was a couple of guys that I had known from tech school who went up to Elmendorf, and obviously I went to Cannon, and then once I went up to Elmendorf, there was like a bunch of guys that I knew already, which was cool. Nobody from basic, but just tech school guys. So I kind of felt comfortable right off the bat. And, we're up there for a while, maybe like 6 months, 8 months. And one thing leads to another. And we're all out one night, and one guy decides he wants to smoke weed. Now, and I say this every single time, I don't blame nobody but myself. Day 1 of basic training, you're told 0 tolerance.
Yeah.
And it's drilled into your head. It is drilled into your head. But there's me thinking I'm fucking king shit. Not me. I'm not going to get caught. Nah. So it's going on for a while. There's 6 of us. And one guy, I won't mention any names, but there's one guy who gets pulled in for a random urinalysis. The next day, my mother used to send me Brooklyn pizza and bagels. It would cost her a fortune, guaranteed next day overnight from Brooklyn to Alaska.
Wow.
Amazing. And she would go to the pizzeria, get a full pie, brand new, let it thaw out. She would put it in the freezer individually just overnight. She would pack it up. By the time it got to Alaska, it would still have just a tiny bit of ice on the top of the cheese. You throw it right into the oven, brand new pizza from Brooklyn, 24 hours later. Amazing, right? I was really cheap with that shit, though, because some people don't understand. So, but there was a guy, his name is Mike Wooten, who still lives up there, and he wound up becoming an Alaskan State Trooper and being on that show, Alaskan State Troopers. Great guy. So I told him I got a shipment of pizza. I was like, I'll give you 1 slice, dude. That's it. But you can't put it in the microwave. You have to put it in the oven. You have to put it in the oven like a gentleman, right? So he's in my room, and I'm giving him this pizza. Someone knocks on my door. I open the door, and I swear, dude, he looks like you do now, kind of, which is weird on an Air Force base. Trucker hat, goatee, right there. What are you doing here? You know what I mean? He's like, and maybe because I'm a half a wise ass, he's like, I'm looking for Airman Ferrari. And I look, because my name is on the outside of the wall of my dorm room. I'm like, it's right there. You're looking at him. Like, who are you? So he pulls out a badge. And I didn't even like really look at it or just register what it said. And I'm like, what is that supposed to be? Just like that. And Mike was like, dude, that said OSI on it. Office of Special Investigations. So now I don't show him that I'm like, oh shit, but like my stomach and my heart are in my throat, dude. So he's like, I just have to bring you to the office. You're not under arrest or anything like that. We just want to talk to you. I'm thinking, whatever. I'm not stupid, So we go to the other side, and he asks me a couple of questions, and I remember the room like it was yesterday. There's a little computer desk over here. I'm sitting on a fold-out chair. There's a desk behind me. There's a small table here to the left, and a different guy who picked me up walks into the room, sits at the computer, And then the guy that picked me up walks in and has like a Ziploc freezer baggie with a piece of masking tape on it. And it says A1C Ferrari. And there's, you know, those little 3-inch cassette tapes? There was like 3 or 4 of them in this bag, right? So I know this is just tactics though. I'm like, you know, like, dude, you just wrote that with a Sharpie on that masking tape. And this is props. This is your guy's trip to the dollar store, you know? So he puts that down there to make sure I saw him put it down so I could see my name. So I look at him and the other guy goes, well, we brought you here because we know that you've been smoking marijuana, but we're not sure if you've been dealing it or not. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, and I was like, before you even say anything else, I'm like, and I turn around to the guy who picked me up, who put the bag down. I'm like, what is that supposed to be? I'm like, is that supposed to be like some hint that like you have my voice on like phone taps on tapes or something like that? He's like, well, we do. I'm like, well, let me tell you. I'm like, first of all, I'm not stupid. Second of all, if you play one of those tapes for me and my voice is on one of those tapes, I'll tell you who killed Jimmy Hoffa. I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything. So he's like, well, under the allegations, we can't do that. I'm like, under the allegations? I'm like, if that's me, I'll tell you if that's me. I'll cop to whatever you want right now. No. So now I was like, listen, are you going to read me my rights, my UCMJ rights, this and that? So basically I was like, they asked me if I wanted to write a statement. I was like, I'm not writing a statement. I want an Air Force lawyer, period, and finished. Sign a waiver, done. ... Make a long story short, we go back to the dorms. I go back to the dorms. Well, I had to take a urinalysis then and there because of the allegations. And what's messed up is like 3 nights before I had smoked. So I came up filthy. But before that all came out, I go back to the dorms and all the other guys that I was smoking with, except for one guy who lived off base, we're all there. We're like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, what's going on? We didn't know who got pulled in for the random urinalysis, this, that, and the other thing. Well, once again, long story short, the one guy who got pulled in for urinalysis came up dirty. They scared him. He was a young kid. He was like 18 or 19 years old. They scared him. He dropped everyone else's name except, well, he dropped me, and me and one other guy were the only 2 that didn't write a statement, but every other guy mentioned everyone else's names.
Yeah, the corroboration.
Yes. So, and it turns out that when I was in that OSI building, everyone else was going in at the same time, different, different entrances and shit. So we were all in that same building, different rooms. We had no idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kept me. Man, Elmendorf is the 2nd largest Air Force base on the planet, next to Eglin, and I mowed that whole goddamn thing. I painted every fire escape. I planted every flower. Forget it. For 6 months. And then that was that. Yeah. So I lost my GI Bill. It didn't really, it just sucks that like, I'm so proud of like, I'm proud of the time that I was in, and I support the troops, and I'm a flag waving motherfucker. You know what I mean? It's just that I was just a stupid kid who probably was a little spoiled later on in life because of where I went, where I was from, and then where I went to, living like a cushy life. And I kind of was spoiled, and I had this stupid ego thing. Like nothing could ever happen to me, and fuck everyone. I had that stupid attitude, which bit me in the ass.
Yeah.
It bit me in the ass.
I'm one of those who wholeheartedly believes that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
We do what we do,
So
but where we're at today is due to everything that has happened in the past. Sure. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, I believe that as well. And that was the hardest thing that it was guaranteed to this day. Besides the death of my mother being so rough, the hardest thing for me my entire life to do was call my mother from my dorm room in Alaska and let her know that I was getting kicked out because I fucked up.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, she was busting with pride. Like, she came down to Lackland and this and that. I have pictures and all that stuff. You briefly met her, you know, of course you don't remember because I wouldn't expect you to, but yeah, I mean, it was probably the hardest thing I ever had to do, you know. And I was a stupid kid, but I have no one to blame but myself because I knew better. I knew from jump, if I smoke pot and I get caught, I'm out. Doesn't matter who I am.
Yeah.
And it bit me in the ass.
Yeah. You know,
I mean, I'm over it, you know, but I think back on that. I'm like, you know, it still bothers me on a certain level. Like, you stupid bastard, you know?
You know, if you'd come in 10 years earlier, that would have been, I wouldn't say forgiven. So when I joined, you could get busted your first enlistment. If something happened, you got busted for smoking dope and it was on your first enlistment, you could stay in. You just couldn't re-enlist. You'd still get an honorable discharge.
But you could just, you can't re-enlist. You could just do 4 years and that's it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Really?
But there was no marks on your record.
Wow.
So, and now I think with the place we're at now, I think stuff's going to go back around to like that again.
It probably should. Now I file an appeal. Like, yo, what's up, man? Should I get grandfathered in? I'm a vet.
You got my wife cracking up over here.
Yeah, I still have a pair of BDUs. I won't fit in them, but I have one.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. Yep. Still in the dry cleaner plastic, starched like cardboard, A1C. Yep. Right back in. That's all I have, though. As far as uniform stuff, that's all I have. I have every single letter and card that was ever mailed to me while I was there. I have, we did a 5K run when I was there, and I made sure I kept it because my number is my area code, 718. Is a Brooklyn area code. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So yeah, I still have that. Yeah, I have my book, actually. Yeah, right here. Yeah. Yeah, and
book,
yeah, man. And I mean, of course, I saved, you know, like our flight shirt and whatnot, the warrior code.
That's right.
Yeah. Me, and I'll give him a shout out. His name was Chris Iannotti, who I'm friends with him on Facebook as well. We were in the same flight and we drew that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You know, I'd forgotten about that too. You know, that comes from Richard Marchenko.
Really?
Yeah. Richard Marchenko was the original Rogue Warrior.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And he's the one who started SEAL Team 6 back in the day.
Really?
And so and that's where I took that from, because that was the what I used to call that.
The Warriors Code.
I can't remember what I used to have a name for. I can't remember, but I remember one of them was what was it? I'm the warlord and the wrathful god of combat, or something like that.
Oh yeah, dude. I'll read them right now. I don't care. Where am I going? Yeah, 1. I am the warlord and the wrathful god of combat, and I will always lead from the front, not the rear. 2, I will treat you all alike, just like shit. I love it. Thou shalt do nothing I will not do first, and thus you will be created warriors in my deadly image. Sounds so grim and evil. I shall punish thy bodies, because the more thou sweatest in training, the less thou bleedest in combat.
Yep.
That's awesome. Indeed, if thou hurteth in thy efforts and thou suffer painful dings, then thou art doing it right. Thou hast not to like it, thou just has to do it. Thou shalt keep it simple, stupid. Great. Thou shalt never assume. 9, verily thou art not pay for thy methods, but for thy results, which meaneth thou shalt kill thine enemy by any means available before he killeth you. Thou shalt in thy warrior's mind and soul always remember my ultimate and final commandment. There are no
No
rules.
rules.
Thou shalt win at all
Win at all
costs.
costs. Yep.
And commandments of the warrior.
Yep.
It's hilarious. Yeah, dude. So funny, man. Yeah, I messed up and that was that. And then you know, I went on. You know, what are you gonna do?
That's what you got to do.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do.
That's what you got to do. For
Shit,
sure.
man. I know that there's something that I have to bring up to you, but I don't remember what the hell it is. Oh, we were texting earlier, how I had realized that it's 25 years next month, and we were saying how, you know, it's like a lifetime ago, and like I said, it seems, yeah, it's 25 years, which is mind-boggling in and of itself, but in some strange way, it feels like it might have been like 5 years ago, you know? And then, which you said you understood that, which, yeah, time flies and it's crazy that it's a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
And, but and I responded, I'm like, just like, how the hell is this year coming up going to be the 20th anniversary of 9/11?
Yeah.
Which is, that's as you would obviously, you know, that like that's my generation's Kennedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
Mine too.
yeah.
You know, I was born in '66, so
There you go.
yeah. You know, I can remember vivid details of everything, you know, of it all, and yeah, it's hard to believe it's been 20 years. You know, putting it in perspective, I was born 25 years after Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
You know, and to me, Pearl Harbor was, of course, history.
Sure.
You know, so that's putting it in that same perspective. Kids nowadays, well, what's the big deal about 9/11? What's that signify?
Right.
But something I was going to ask you, because I know what it was like for me, and I was stationed out at Nellis at the time.
Okay.
Out north of Vegas, and what it was like for me, especially those first 72 hours. But I've never talked to anyone from the city that went through it.
Really?
So that's what I was going to ask you is I can't even begin to imagine or fathom what that was like.
All right. Well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just pause this for a second. And when it goes back, it'll just be like we didn't even pause, but I'm saying it right now because I'm going to take a piss real quick. And then I'll get
All right.
All right, we're back. Gordon, yeah. Okay. All right, well, obviously born and raised in Brooklyn, so Twin Towers, I mean, it's like anything else. When you grow up, like people are like, oh, you do touristy stuff. I want to go to the Empire State Building. I'm like, I see the Empire State Building every day. It's like you take it for granted. You know what I mean? Like right now, I work in the middle of Manhattan, and the Empire State Building is literally 4 blocks away from where I work. So it's nothing to me. It's like the Twin Towers were. So, I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. The night before, me and a couple of my friends and an ex-girlfriend, we were all hanging out the night before, and she was at my apartment, and she woke up really early because she had work. She worked in Lower Manhattan, and I was just still sleeping, whatever, when she got up and she left. And I remember this was the days of, there was no cell phones really yet. You didn't really, if you had a cell phone, you were like somebody, you know? So I had my regular phone, and right next to it, remember when they came out with the caller ID?
Yeah.
Right. So or a separate answering machine. And so I hear my phone ringing and I don't get up to answer it. And the answer machine clicks on and it's her. And she said that she's not going to go into work because a plane hit one of the Twin Towers. So once I heard that, I jumped up, I picked up the phone, I put on the TV. I guess she was also making the rounds with all of our friends. And within 20 minutes or so, there was like 6 people in my apartment. And we're all sitting there and we're just like kind of still hung over and whatever. And just watching, and we were all sitting there watching, and we saw the second plane hit live on TV, and we were just like, did we just see what we really thought we just saw? You know, it was like surreal. It's like a movie, man. And that's when we realized something really fucked up is going on. Then as the day goes on, there's planes unaccounted for. Now there's reports of, a plane went down in Pennsylvania in Shanksville, and then reports came in that a plane hit the Pentagon and all that. And it was insane because within maybe the first, I'm gonna say after the North Tower fell, because the South Tower fell first. So when the South Tower fell, I'm going to say maybe 15 minutes later, it was a beautiful Tuesday that day. I mean, it was a beautiful Tuesday. And my apartment was on the corner. So I was able to open up like my dining room windows, my living room windows, and like my bedroom windows in there. And it was like the whole corner of the block. So there was like wind, breeze coming from every direction. So 15 minutes after the first tower fell, it smelled like my apartment was on fire.
Wow.
Because of the smoke. There were pieces of paper. And now mile wise, I mean, driving wise, it seems like a lot. It's probably about 8 miles or something like that to where the Trade Center was. But I mean, you could just draw a straight line. It's really not far at all. So there was paper and like pieces of paper in the sky coming down in my neighborhood in Brooklyn. And one of my best friends, his name is Chris Garazer. Still friends with him to this day. He at the time was just fresh out of the academy for the FDNY, and he wasn't sure what house he was going to be stationed in yet, because he was like a rookie. He was basically right out of basic training, waiting to go to his first duty station in essence. And he called me up, and this was, I think, right before any of the towers fell, or shortly after. And he called me up and he was like, Jim, he's like, I'm going down. We all got recalled and it's all hands on deck. We're all going down. So I'm like, all right, dude, like, be careful, man. And obviously he's on a rig and he has access down there. And I saw first tower fall. I watched the second tower fall. And I didn't hear from him for like 4 days, 5 days. And now I'm just like, I don't really need to be going to this kid's funeral. Like, he's my best friend and all that. Turns out he was okay. But he described shit down there. I have a bunch of friends. I have a retired cop friend who, first responders, still to this day have issues. It was chaos, man. It was, the strangest thing was, and it's this weird quiet that happened. There was no airplanes in the sky except for the occasional fighter jet. And to see an F-15 flying over Brooklyn towards Manhattan is very strange. I went up to the roof of a building, and I mean, it was like basically like not far away, and I watched the billow of smoke. And yeah, man, it still is. I can't even say it was. It's terrible. And and like you said before, it's like kids nowadays. Like, I tell my daughter's 11, and she wasn't even alive when the towers existed. You know what I mean? It's like she just knows the Freedom Tower that's there, which is like, I can't even look at it. You know what I mean? I always thought that they should just rebuild them just a couple of stories higher, identical. You know what I mean? Just a couple of stories higher, identical twin towers. You know what I mean? Just because fuck it, But yeah, man, it was kind of messed up. There was one person that I knew who was an old co-worker of mine back when, before the Air Force, I was working like these dead end jobs, working in delis and bagel stores and stuff. There was one kid that I used to work with who, at the time, like, this is when computers were becoming a thing, the whole .com thing was happening. So he wound up landing like some really good job, and he was like a computer analyst or something with computers. And he was at Cantor Fitzgerald in the towers, and it was basically a direct hit. So he was the only person that I know that got killed that day.
Wow.
Bunch of people that I know that were almost gonna go. I know 2 people that got out of the building, but yeah, man,
Wow.
pretty crazy, and it's insane that it's 20 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, very strange.
For sure.
Very strange, man. Yeah, well, hopefully none of that shit happens again. We don't know. We don't know.
That's true.
We don't know what the hell this future is gonna hold, man. We won't get into politics. But
Thank you.
No, I never do politics on this podcast ever. But we're right here. We're right here with things.
Yeah.
We're 100%. Yeah, man.
For sure.
So now before you have to go? Can you bullshit a couple more minutes?
Sure.
All
yeah,
right.
good.
Before you were a TI, weren't you like a ranger or something? Were you a ranger and then you were security forces?
Security forces. I went through so let me see, 96. So in 80, must have been early 87 when I was stationed in Germany. I went through something in Germany called platoon confidence training. It was an Army school, and it was kind of a pre-ranger type school.
Okay.
Over there in Bad Tolls, Bavaria, with the 10th Special Forces group over there.
Okay.
That was pretty intense, 4 weeks that I would never want to live over again. Then I went through Air Force pre-ranger school when I was stationed out at Nellis.
Okay.
So,
weren't you, now maybe my mind is, it's another thing for 25 years it's always stuck in my head and I have no damn reason why. Were you stationed at Minot?
no. I was stationed at, let me see.
Somewhere in the Dakotas?
I went to Lackland. I went to be a TI from being stationed at Ellsworth.
Okay. All right, so it's somebody else then. But I have this whole thing in my head about somebody being a security cop, so a security, and standing outside where there's probably nukes in freezing cold weather in Minot, North Dakota.
Yeah, I worked in the missile field when I was at Ellsworth.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I can't remember everything, man. So how long were you in the security forces?
So let me see. 26 minus 8 years as a TI is what? 18 years total security forces.
Okay. So after you were done being a TI, you went to where?
So after my first tour, I went out to Nellis, and I was assigned to the 99th Ground Combat Training Squadron, which is a desert warfare training center for security forces. Okay. I started out as just a team member, got promoted into be a team leader, and then I ended up as the NCOIC of the cadre out there, and that's what I was when 9/11 hit. I was the NCOIC of operations.
Wow.
So great school, great time. I ended up from there, went back to being a TI for my second tour.
And what were you at this point, tech sergeant?
Yeah, I was a tech sergeant when I went back the second time, and I made master down there my second time.
Gotcha. Okay. Crazy. Were you ever deployed? Did you go overseas to the desert at all or anything like that?
I went I have to remember years here. After my second tour as a TI, I went out to McGuire. Was with the what they call the contingency response wing. I went downrange a couple times there, but it was just fly-ins and fly-out kind of thing.
Okay.
I didn't spend a lot of time in the sandbox.
I gotcha. Okay.
So I did one mission where we took detainees from Gitmo, and we took them back to their home country.
Really?
And released them.
Oh shit.
Took me in a matter of a week, I went from not even a week from McGuire to Charleston. We went to Ramstein to Kyrgyzstan, Kyrgyzstan to Balad. Balad is where we picked up our detainees. My team did. And when we went to Bagram, And from Bagram, we went to Kazakhstan.
Oh shit!
Back to Kyrgyzstan, and then back to home base, and that was in a matter of about 4 days.
Damn.
Yeah, and then I did George W.'s farewell tour to the Mid East. I went to Kuwait for that.
Oh no shit.
For that.
Yeah, I got my stripes ripped off my arms the day that Bill Clinton stopped off at Elmendorf on his way to China. Yeah, I remember that day pretty well too.
Jeez.
That was after I got in trouble for being an idiot. You know? In the hangar, this whole thing, man, there's all, you know, Secret Service everywhere, this, that, and the other thing. And finally make it into the hangar, and there's Air Force One, and him and Hillary and even Chelsea Clinton were all there and make a speech and hi everybody. And I'm standing there looking, and I looked over at like the weird little indentation where my chevrons used to be.
The shadow.
Little shadow, little pieces of thread sticking out. Yeah, same day. Never forget it. First time I ever seen Bill Clinton ever in life was a terrible day. Yeah, man.
Hey, so here's a question for you. You said you got your daughter's what, 11, you said?
Yeah.
So what would you let her, or would you encourage her, or try and say no if she ever says she wanted to join the military?
If she wanted to go, and she honestly really, really wanted to go, I would have her go. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to push her to go, but if I'm not going to be like, you need to go. I would never do that. But if she like showed like legitimate interest and she really wanted to and asked me my advice about it, you know, I would tell her, like, listen, I got lucky because when I was in, it was basically peacetime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So nothing was really going on while I was in that affected me at all. But if she really wanted to go in, did she really wanted to? I mean, she'd probably think the same thing. What the hell did I just do when she's at Lackland? You know, she would have those feelings as well. But if she wanted to, sure. Yeah, why not?
Yeah. My daughter actually just got medically retired from the Air Force.
Okay.
She did 6 years. And of course, when she joined, I still knew quite a few people down there. And so when she went in, I had spies all over the place.
Of course you did.
Keep an eye on her. But yeah, when she graduated, I went to her graduation and stuff. And she said, "You're like everybody knows you. You're like a legend around here."
That's great, man. But you're dad, so that's like, oh God, probably, right? She's like, whatever. Yeah, you're just dad to her. Of course. Oh man, yeah, I wouldn't discourage her to do that. No, not at all.
Yeah,
I would if I had the chance to do it all over again. I would have done it all over again. If I can go back in time and correct my mistakes, yeah. Sure. But then again, you know, you also said it before. It's like, you know, certain things happen for a reason, man. I mean, my life took a completely different 180 turn, and who knows, you know, there's certain people I might not have met. There's certain paths I might not have taken. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't have met my ex-wife. Maybe my daughter wouldn't even be here. Or you know, there's so many things that could have, you know, that could have happened. So I don't beat myself up over for a while. Like I was like beat myself up over it for a while, but that was years and years and years ago. It's like, come on, man, like, you know, tighten up your bootstraps and get on with your life. You know,
that's good.
Yeah, man. It's like, you know.
Yeah. When I was talking to my wife earlier before we got on here, you know.
Oh, congratulations. I know you guys are newlyweds.
Thank you. Yes. We got married in August, and we just celebrated last week. A week and a half ago, whatever it was, celebrated a whole year since we had our first date. So
wow.
You know, how bad COVID is and everything like that, how bad 2020 was. I got no complaints. 2020 is the best year of my life.
There you go. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I always think that too. It's like 2020. Man, it's your mindset. It's your mindset. Yeah. It's all your mindset. Any year can be miserable if you let it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a happy-go-lucky guy. I joke. I laugh at myself. I make fun of myself. I break chops all day long. I laugh all day long. What are you going to do? What are you going to be miserable? Or, you know, it's life's too short, man. Like we just said, 25 years went like this.
Yeah.
And you know, like how you said, like 25 years after Pearl Harbor, you were born. I think back, It's going on 20 years for 9/11. I'm 45. It's almost half of my life ago 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
You know, you put it in certain perspectives, it just sounds crazier. It just sounds even crazier.
Yeah. Well, I take it even a different kind of spin. You know, I spent 26 years in. That's, well, now that I've gotten a little bit older, but I mean, you know, that was over half my life I spent in the military.
Yeah.
You know, and that I had a great career. You know, sure, there's, you know, ups and downs and stuff like that, and there was some shit times, but honestly, I had an absolute blast. You know, talk about it. You know, as TIs, this is something that, you know, not a lot of people, especially trainees, knew, but we worked on average about 16-hour days.
I'm sure you did.
You know, we had our roll call at 4 a.m.
Man, I never want to wake up to goddamn reveille ever again, man. You can't even use the bed, like the first day, your morning pee. You can't even do that. You're downstairs. Next thing you know, you're downstairs doing a dance, singing the damn Air Force song. Come on, man. Can you get a cup of coffee around here? No coffee, no carbon. What was it? What is it? At least 3 non-carbonated
3 glasses of non-carbonated, non-caffeinated beverages with each and every meal.
Oh God!
You just made me remember that.
Yes, well, it's like muscle memory for you, man. It's like riding a bike. You know, you said chow runner. Next thing you know, I have your 1996 voice in my head screaming for the house mouse.
Oh my God, the house mouse! Yeah,
it's crazy, man. I remember all this shit. It's hilarious, man. It's good times, man. I look back, even though, like I said, like I screwed up towards the end. I look back at those times really fondly, man. I really do. Good. I absolutely do. Yeah. That's
good.
Yeah. I'm glad I wound up in your flight, man.
I am too.
Holy shit. I have to tell you, I would have kicked myself in the ass. I have to tell you something. Oh, here we go. All right. Now, I'll take pictures. I have more pictures. I wanted to tell you this first instead of sending you pictures and then be like, what is this horse shit, you know? So, all right. I don't know. Confession time, Dave. I'm calling you Dave now. Confession time. I don't know where you went, but you were gone for the day. Gone for the day. There was one guy you left in charge. He was not a team member. I don't remember what his name was. I had a shit day that day because he got in my ass because I forgot my cover on my chair next to my wall locker. I thought it was in my pocket. You know what I mean? So we're all lined up. Ferrari, who's Ferrari? And right there, I'm like, this new guy, he was like the substitute teacher, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, this guy is going to get this is going to be bad. So now I have my mind is somewhere else. We're doing facing movements downstairs underneath the whole thing. And you know how it looks. It's like dominoes. They all go one way when they fall. And if something happens, it stands out bad if something goes wrong. There's me. How you doing? Me. Right face. Now there's the whole squad. Everyone. Perfect. Boom, boom, boom. There's me. Not thinking, just like lights on, but no one's home. Everyone goes right. My dumb ass goes left. And dude, this is like a month into training, man. Boy, he flipped out bad. Once that was all over with, he didn't pull 341 already. He just yelled a lot. So he winds up leaving for the day, and I guess he left the dorm chief in charge or whatever. Kind of bad to do that, right? Because there was a few of us. There's a few guys. I still have my book, but they don't have first names, first initial. So I don't know their first names. A lot of them. I would love to try to find some of these guys just to be like, what's up? But there was a few of us. There was one kid. His last name was Kenny. He was a black guy from the Bronx. As soon as I came to your flight, I opened up my mouth and he looked at me. He was like, "Where are you from?" Because he knew I was from Brooklyn. It's like from Brooklyn. He's like, yo, I'm from the Bronx. So right there, we were like, cool. You know what I mean? So there was a whole bunch of us. Like, I'm gonna say a whole bunch, maybe like 6 or 8 of us that were really tight with each other in there. So I'll plead the fifth if I had anything to do with it or not. Maybe, maybe not. But we took Scotch tape, right? And we took somebody's shirt, right? And we put it over the CQ box so that the people in CQ downstairs can't push their little button and eavesdrop what's going on up in fucking B-Bay, right? So we put that over it. I can't believe we did this. And what's crazier is I can't believe I'm telling you this right now. Holy shit, right? So never in a million years would I think this would be happening. So we cover that up. And I may or may not had the bright idea because I had a song in my head. I don't remember what song it was. I'm like, should we or should we not? We did. So we took our little military ID card, right? I'll cop to it. I opened it up. I opened up what? Civilian luggage.
Yeah. You weren't the first and you weren't the last.
I'm good. All right, great, cool. I opened up civilian luggage and it was like, it was so weird how people would take like their brush that they had in their civilian luggage and go over their bald head because they forgot how it felt to use a brush. Right? Like, yo, man, it feels good to brush your scalp, right? So I have pictures. I'll take pictures and send them to you if you want. But my friend David Byer, who I'm friends with on Facebook, who was my next bunkie, he has headphones on. We're listening to music. I have like Timberland boots on, who has a jacket on, who has like money in their wallet and they're taking pictures with money and shit. Yeah, and I'm like, yo, we have to wrap this up. It went on for about an hour and people were acting like assholes. And I was like, yo, we have to wrap this up because that is our ass. If Raushenberger comes back and sneak attacks us, it's a wrap for all of us. And then one of you little bastards is gonna snitch me out and I'm gonna go back a friggin' week in training for the breaking and entering shit. So this has to come to a close. But I always had, for some reason, I always had a disposable camera. And I had one in my civilian luggage. So I took pictures, so I have evidence of the crimes. So yeah, did you ever catch anyone doing that?
We caught different things. We used. I told you before the story about when I did the amnesty hour right after graduation. Before everybody shipped. That's how we would learn things. That we would find things out that we would use on the next flights. Fame is for keeping stuff up in the ceiling tiles.
Sure.
And popping the caps off their bedposts and hiding like candy and stuff down there. Yeah. Oh, they're famous for that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There was little stupid things that we would do, like sleep, like change like in the middle of the night and sleep with like our blousing straps already on. Because it would just be quicker to get up and get out so you could make your bed. These little small little things that would make things happen quicker. Yeah. Sleep with brown. Yeah, silly nonsense that you thought would help you out. But if you got caught, it was your ass. Yeah, silly shit.
Yeah, and something like breaking into civilian luggage, that wouldn't have been a week. That would have been at least 2 weeks. That would
really
been offense. Oh yeah, that's major right there. Big time.
2 weeks.
Yep.
That would have been.
I had a kid one time, and again, this was early on. It may have been after y'all's flight, but it was early on. I remember the kid was Irish. He was an element leader. And, again, like we tell everybody, You're not gone until you're gone.
Right.
And forget just getting on the bus.
Right.
You still belong to me until you check in at your tech school.
That's right.
You know, and this kid, I wish I could remember his name. It started with an M, but I remember he was Irish and tall, skinny kid, element leader. And he thought on shipping night, and I was on CQ because usually we pulled CQ on shipping night because we had to be there anyway.
Right.
So I get this call, you know, from dorm guard saying that so-and-so had been drinking. I'm like, drinking? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I call this kid down along with the dorm chief, and he had drank a bottle of Scope thinking that there was enough alcohol in the bottle of Scope to get drunk. Really? That cost him an extra 2 weeks at Lackland. And
Scope?
He had already graduated. So he just got assigned to shit details all day long, every day for 2 weeks.
Oh my God, man. Even back in my crazy drinking lush days, I wouldn't even do that. Ever. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. Just nasty.
It's nasty.
Trainees are just, we were always cracking up. I mean, it was a constant. That's why there's doors on the flight office.
I'm sure.
Most of the doors would just laugh at y'all.
I'm sure. I figured that like after you guys' shift was over or whatever, you'd go out to whatever local bar or whatever off base and sit and drink a few beers and just laugh at the nonsense that happened that day. Yeah, I'm sure.
Like I said, all my stories are geared around when I was at TI, some of the stuff.
Yeah, you can't make some of that stuff up, man.
No. Hilarious. My first LOC in the Air Force was my first tour. So, and it happened before your flight because I was young as a TI.
Okay.
So I was doing pickup. And you remember what pickup was like? You know, it was insane. It was mass chaos, you know. And I got the flight upstairs, and it was that, you know, you give them 100 things to do in 2 seconds to do it.
Of course.
You know, and I'm walking up and down the center aisle, and I'm like, you see that towel on the end of your bed? You're going to strip all your clothes off. You're going to put them in this bag right here. You can take that towel. You're going to wrap it around your waist. You got 5 seconds to do it. Go. You're going to get your hygienes out of it. You're going to put them on the middle of your bed. You got 5 seconds. Go. And, you know, this side over here, this is before you start telling them, you know, A bay, B bay, or anything like that, because there's no understanding of that. So this side over here, you're going to go in. Everybody's going to go into the shower and into the latrine. This side over here, you're going to shower.
Right.
This side over here, you're going to brush your teeth and shave your face.
Right.
In the showers, and you're asking, how do you get all 52 in under the showers in such a short amount of time? Dorm guard would go in, turn all the shower heads on. You got 3 seconds underneath every shower head.
It was terrible.
Right?
So bad.
You got to go in there, shower, and this is pickup night, so nobody knows nothing about nothing already, and there's already chaos, and they're scared.
Disoriented
here, you're gonna brush your teeth, and you're gonna shave all the hair off your face, and then you're gonna switch. Right? Go to shave, and you're gonna shower. Those shower, and you're gonna brush, shave. You're gonna come back to your bed. You're gonna get dressed. You're gonna put clean underwear on, a clean T-shirt on. You're just gonna stand there and wait for further instructions. Of course, you know, 95% had never shaved before.
Dude, no.
They got to shave in 5 seconds.
And those are shitty razors, man.
Come blood everywhere.
Dude.
All the time.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at these trainees coming out, and I'm walking up and down and screaming and yelling and throwing things and losing my mind and stuff. And I look at this kid, and I was like, the hell did you do? I couldn't figure it out at first.
Right.
I'm going back and forth and back and forth. I look at it, stop, and I look at him again. He's just standing there, you know, stupid look on his face, blood all over the place. I'm like, what did you do? Something was not right.
Right.
The third time for me to go past him, I looked at him, I walk up to him, I said, what in the hell possessed you to think that you should shave your eyebrows off?
Hilarious.
He's like, sir, you told me to shave all the hair off my face. I got an LOC for that.
Really? That wasn't even your fault, his dumb ass.
So I had to amend my briefing after that. I had to say, you shave all the hair off your face except for your eyebrows. That's the one piece of civilian that you get to keep.
Unbelievable, man. That is so funny, dude. We had, you said we had a tall element leader. We had like the smallest one. Or was he doing? No, he was Johnson. You fired Johnson for some reason. And I think it was guaranteed it was a joke between all of you guys because we had the tiniest little dorm chief.
It's possible.
His last name, I had to remember his name. His last name was Higginson. He was like 4'11", no, 5 feet, if anything. Tiny. Just very strange. Front right, like very weird. Hilarious, man. I was like, I think that was on purpose. That was completely on purpose. The smallest, littlest guy.
Could have been.
Yeah, without a doubt. Fucking so funny, dude. Oh my god. Oh, let me just throw out my little sponsors and shit real quick. This is also a very friggin' small world, man. Because one of my sponsors it's called Dead Sled Coffee. Are you a coffee guy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, me too. I live on it. But one of the guys who's a part owner of it, his name is Mike Thorwart, and he lives in Jersey. And I had posted a picture of, I had taken it with my disposable camera the day of graduation. It's not B-Bay, but it's A-Bay, just to take a picture. And I posted it today. And, well, you saw it. You saw it with the shoes that are all jacked up. So a few hours later after you saw it, he posted a comment and he had taken that picture and he said that he was in the same friggin' training squadron in the same bay in 99.
Wow.
He was like wild. And he like drew like an arrow. My bunk was on the left-hand side, like towards the middle. I'm like, no way. And it's funny because he's part owner of a company that sponsors my podcast, Dead Sled Coffee. And here's my little quick spiel. If you go to deadsledcoffee.com and you type in the promo code Brooklyn Blast, you'll get 15% off of your order. And any order over $45, any order over $40 is free domestic shipping with anywhere within the United States. And follow them on Instagram at Dead Sled Coffee. It's my coffee guys. So if you ever want coffee, dude, tell them that Jimmy sent you. It's badass too. There's like cold brew, and I'm not even saying that because I drank it before they even became a sponsor, and I live on coffee. So they have all kinds of tea and cold brew coffee and flavors and strong shit and mild shit and all that stuff. And whatever you want. Deadsledcoffee.com. There's also one of the last on the block, an actual record store. It's called Generation Records. They're located at 210 Thompson Street in the West Village here in New York City. You can follow them on Instagram as well at Generation Records. If you go to generationrecords.bigcartel.com, you can order stuff online and get things shipped to your house. But if you're in the area, they survived so far this whole pandemic thing, and they're back open. So if you're in the New York City area, go to the actual brick and mortar spot and go grab something, anything from records. They have shirts, CDs, books, all kinds of stuff. 2 floors, and there's not a lot of regular actual record stores around anymore. So you should support these things if you're into that kind of stuff. And once again, they're 210 Thompson Street in the West Village. And last but not least, if you want to get shirts printed, like TI, Master Training Instructor, retired T-shirts or something for the guys in the area, it's New Republic Printing. If you go to newrepublicprinting.net, there is a whole catalog. You can get anything printed on anything, any kind of branded shirts or tank tops, hoodies, girls, boy shorts, underwear, everything. They do embroidery, they do vinyl stickers, and they do pins as well. So that's newrepublicprinting.net, and you follow them on Instagram as well at New Republic Printing. Generation Records, Dead Sled Coffee, New Republic Printing. Thank you for being a sponsor. That's my sponsors, Dave. That's it. So, what's going on now in Texas? What are you doing? How you liking retirement? And we'll button it all up, and then I'll let you go. I'm going to stop holding you hostage.
Life is good. Like I said, 2020 is probably the best year of my life. I'm at a good spot in life. I have an amazing wife who supports me. It took me a lot of bad and wrong decisions in life to find the right one. I'm blessed beyond belief. I really am.
Awesome.
I work for Texas A&M Engineering
Really?
Extension Service. It's part of the A&M system.
Okay.
My official title is as a training manager. I manage a training program that's a DHS and FEMA program for Homeland Security.
Okay.
I have a bunch of instructors that work for me. I imagine I'm still in the training world.
Go figure.
But I got a bunch of instructors that work for me, and normally we travel across the country putting classes on, usually for emergency responder types, but it's for whole communities. Now with the, we stopped doing that back in March last year, of course, when everybody shut down.
Yeah.
We have started doing virtual classes. We started that back in September
Okay.
because there's still a need for the training. So that's what we've been doing, and I still work remotely. My wife and I, we just bought some new property. We're both country folk, and we like the privacy and the peace of the country.
Yeah, I love that shit, man. I like peace and quiet, man. I'm from the city, so anytime everyone could just shut up, I could sit in a room by myself, just quiet, and I'm completely fine, man.
Yeah, and I'm gonna plug my wife here a little bit. She's a real,
Do that.
and she is she's one of the top agents in the Waco area, which Central Texas area where we're at. But she was also just selected. She was just interviewed for a magazine called Top Agent Magazine, which is countrywide.
That's awesome.
She does amazing stuff. She makes people's dreams come true.
Really?
Buying and selling houses and stuff like that. And we just actually started our own business, investments. So R&R Realty is our company.
Okay.
Doing investment properties. We're actually doing our first flip now. So that's our retirement gig. That's what we're looking at for retirement.
That's amazing. Do you guys have like a website or anything like that yet? Or
I'm looking at her. We have a website yet? Not yet. It's being developed, right? It's being developed.
Beautiful. That's good that you got things cooking, man. That's a great thing, man. I'm happy for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Good. I 5 kids and 9 grandkids.
Damn. Slow down, Dave.
It's awesome, man. I tell you.
I'm sure it is. I'm only messing.
I'm Peepaw. That's my name, and it's awesome. I love I love them all, but those grandkids are something else.
I'm sure, man. One day. But I told my daughter, you can't date until you're like 50. She's like, yeah, right. I'm going to have kids when I'm 20. I'm like, no, you're not. Yeah, you're not. You have no idea. You say that now, but.
Well, it's funny because I'm 54. I'll be 55 this year. And our oldest granddaughter is 16. So in reality, in a couple years, we could be great grandparents.
That's crazy, isn't it?
That's crazy stuff right there.
Yeah, man. God. It happens so fast, man.
Yeah.
That's why I always try to laugh. I don't get involved in drama. I can't be bothered with high school nonsense. You know what I mean? It's just, come on, man. When do you grow up? You know what I mean? So yeah, I always look at the silver lining with anything, for some reason, whatever. You can't be doom and gloom all day long. You're going to walk around your life miserable? Hell no.
Yeah.
I've done enough damage and enough stupid stuff when I was younger for 10 people. You know what I mean? I'm over that stuff, So, yeah, man, life's good. I have no complaints either, man. I have a great job. I have a great girlfriend. My daughter's awesome. I'm civil with my ex-wife, which is rare, and that's cool. I really have no complaints. What the hell am I going to complain about? Talking to my old TI right now. What am I going to complain about?
Good
Dude,
stuff,
this was fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Like I said, I never thought this would ever happen in a million years. And we were talking about it a while ago when you were still, you said you were going to come to New York at a certain time, but then, the world went to shit. So, but this is a great alternative, man. Some things about technology, and there is certain things about social media that are good. You know what I mean? Like I would have no idea. I would never get in touch with you or any. There's so many people, you know what I mean? So that
Yeah.
aspect of social media is good. Other than that, the time it is sometimes time consuming, but I speak to a small group of people, and basically I use it just to promote the podcast because nowadays you need social media to promote anything that you're doing. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Because
Yeah.
everyone is on the phone. It's welcome to technology, you know. So
Yeah.
it's I call it the necessary evil. It's a necessary evil if you have something to promote. So I try to filter out the nonsense and speak to the people that I want to speak to with no drama.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I didn't know what to think. And to be quite honest, when you first mentioned it, you know, what's it been, year and a half or so ago, something like that. I was like,
Probably.
I don't know about that. But,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't literally know much about it.
Right.
So, yeah, this is cool, man. I had a good time.
Yeah, just have basically it's just a conversation, man. Just conversating about old shit and things that you didn't know and things I didn't know, and I had to come clean about some stuff, man. Little certain things were bothering me, you know.
Well, now you can have a clean conscience about it.
See, that's what it's all about. It's called growing up, man, and accepting the shit that you did wrong. You know, admitting to stuff and apologizing, but I didn't get caught. I told you. Oh man, Dave.
All good, man.
Thank you so much, man. And we'll be in touch. I got your phone number, and I know that you got rid of your Facebook, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Try Instagram. There's a lot less drama. There's no drama. There's it's a lot quieter over there. But it's a great tool. You might want to actually look for it, look into it for the real estate business. It's a great promotional tool. Just a suggestion, man.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me on and talking, man. It's been awesome.
Thank you for the memories. Thank you for all this stuff. And it sounds cheesy, but you did have an impact on my life. Even though I fucked it up later on, you really did. And I have nothing but respect for you, man.
I appreciate that.
I mean that with everything.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
You have a good night.
You too.
And I'll be talking to you, my man.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Later, brother.
All right.